Mr Speaker, devolution in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland is one of the proudest achievements of the last Labour government. Until now, whatever our disagreements, there's been a very broad consensus about devolution. So why did the Prime Minister tell his MPs this week that Scottish devolution is, in his words, a disaster?
What has unquestionably been a disaster is the way in which the Scottish Nationalist Party have taken and used devolution as a means not to improve the lives of their constituents, not to address their health concerns, not to improve education in Scotland, but constantly, and I know this is actually a point of view that is shared by the right honourable gentleman who leads for the opposition, but constantly to campaign for the breakup of our country and to turn devolution, otherwise a sound policy from which I myself personally benefited by when I was running London, but turn devolution into a mission to break up the UK. And that, in my view, would be a disaster.
Could I just say it's the Scottish National Party, not the Nationalist Party. Otherwise, the phones will be ringing longer than...
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. They're national but not nationalists, I see. Right.
We can play pedantics another time. Keir Starmer.
Mr Speaker, the biggest threat to the future of the United Kingdom is the Prime Minister every time he opens his mouth. The Prime Minister's quote is very clear. He said devolution has been a disaster north of the border. This isn't an isolated incident. Whether it's the internal market bill, the way the Prime Minister sidelined the devolved parliaments over the COVID response, the Prime Minister is seriously undermining the fabric of the United Kingdom. So instead of talking down devolution, does he agree that we need far greater devolution of powers and resources across the United Kingdom?
Disappoints me is that the Scottish National Party, Mr Speaker, and I abide by your ruling on their correct name, the Scottish National Party, Mr Speaker, is not engaging in that basic work. Instead, they are campaigning to break up the union, an objective that I hope the Leader of the Opposition will repudiate. Will he say so now that he opposes the break-up of the United Kingdom?
Of course I don't want the break-up of the Union, the United Kingdom. But if anything is fuelling that break-up, it's the Prime Minister.
What the Prime Minister said was very clear. Devolution shouldn't have happened. It was Tony Blair's biggest mistake. The conception was wrong. That's where this Prime Minister comes from.
And that's why I said last night, devolution is not the problem. It's the people that have the powers at the moment in Scotland over the Scottish Government, and that's the SNP, who always, over their 13 and a half years in power and in opposition, have used the Scottish Parliament and devolution to further their aims to separate Scotland from the rest of the United Kingdom.
The truth is, Boris Johnson, as maybe evidenced by his remarks last night, doesn't get Scotland, and Scotland doesn't get Boris Johnson, doesn't like him. That's a big factor now in the drive to independence. On heart, do you think you could win a referendum on Scottish independence, win for unionism with Boris Johnson as Prime Minister?
Yes.
Hand on heart?
Yes.
I can't find
Absolutely.
many Scottish Tories who privately
Well,
say
I
that.
am not going to be one of these people that gives in on the union. I am passionate about it.
I'm
It's
not
what my
saying that. I'm
life
asking whether you're giving up
has
on
been
Boris
about. It's
Johnson
about politics.
as the one
It's
who can
about what it means
win
for our
that referendum.
communities. And if anyone were to answer that question to say they've already given up on the union, then they're not a unionist and they've got no place in any campaign I'm going to be part
And you're
of.
asking Scotland to stay in the United Kingdom with a Prime Minister who doesn't believe in devolution.
I'm asking Scotland
Tough
to
sell.
stay in the United Kingdom because of the benefits Scotland gets from the UK and the UK gets from Scotland.
As you know tonight, Number 10 is rowing back. They say devolution is great, but not when it's used by separatists and nationalists to break up the UK.
Well, who is it that Damien thinks elects the SNP and has elected us in election after election after election for the last 13 years? The idea that somehow the SNP are a small guerrilla group that have captured the Scottish Parliament is bizarre. We are elected by the people. And this claim, I mean, it's very odd for a Prime Minister who claims to be trying to hold the union together when he attacks and removes the middle way, because it may be just over half the population who support independence, but the vast majority support devolution. And this is just pushing people to choose. And it isn't just this flippant comment today. It comes on the back of the UK Internal Market Bill, which absolutely removes powers from the Scottish Parliament. And anyone who has read the bill, that is absolutely clear. So it isn't just a flippant comment. He is actually attacking the Parliament as well.
But do you think the Conservatives in Scotland have been good news for the Parliament? The way the Parliament's conducted, the way that policies are put forward and debated, has it been actually a good ecology to have Scottish Conservatives in the Parliament?
Well, I think you need a Parliament of all voices. I have no issue with Conservatives being there. How good they have been for policy, they're often not great at bringing a constructive idea. They more just want to knock something down. But you do need the whole breadth of views of people in Scotland. But what I would certainly agree with is that the Parliament saved their hides. They were on the way to oblivion in 1997. So I find it quite bizarre that he should come out and attack that moderate view of, devolution is everything, when on the one hand he's attacking it legislatively, and now he's attacking it openly.
I know that comments that I made the other day on devolution have been widely reported, leaked, not entirely accurately, but never mind. Since there were no press in the room, I'll give you my round, unvarnished view. The way the SNP have handled devolution in Scotland has been a disaster. The key is to have policies that show how devolution can work for Scotland, for the people in Scotland, rather than the SNP obsession with making devolution work against the rest of the UK. Just because I've criticised the performance of devolution doesn't mean I want to oppose devolution as a concept in itself. I want to thank the Scottish Government for the way it has worked with all of us, with the UK Government, with other devolved administrations to try to tackle this virus over these past few months. I want to thank Nicola. I want to appeal to them to continue working with us, making use of the vaccine stocks, test kits and new technology that come from being part of what is one of the world's leading scientific superpowers.
I ask you, as a matter of democracy, do you accept that if this result pans out as the exit poll suggests, that the First Minister has a mandate to pursue a second referendum?
Well, Bernard, I think the key point and the key analysis will be the percentage share of the vote, and that we don't have that right now. The SNP clearly, as a result of the first past the post system in Scotland and the UK, will have the most seats. There's no doubt about that, and they're on course to increase the number of seats. But the percentage share the SNP get in this election is going to be far below 50%. So this so-called...
So let me follow the logic of that. Does that mean if the Conservative share across the UK isn't over 50%, the Prime Minister has no mandate for Brexit?
Well, he will be the elected Prime Minister, and therefore he will have a mandate.
Where does that mandate come from?
It comes from the elected representatives of, or the electorate in the UK.
In the House of Commons?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, if the SNP get 55 out of 59 seats, as the exit poll predicts, you are telling me, despite the fact in terms of a percentage share of the seats from Scotland, this will be far higher than the Conservative representation in the House of Commons as a whole. The SNP have no mandate to pursue this?
You're working on the assumption that referendums are the normal course of business. They should only be used in exceptional circumstances.
I'm asking you how you get a mandate. How do you get a mandate?
Well, we get a mandate through the electorate.
Right.
Right.
Well, who do you think will be voting SNP?
One that has given the SNP a platform from which it has the resources and exposure to destroy the British state. And therefore, the only way to strengthen the Union is to abolish the Scottish Parliament and return to a pre-1999 situation or severely constrain its powers.